A few days ago, Feminist Frequency posted some criticism of Breath of the Wild on Twitter. The first thing I did was peek around at some of her other critics with larger audiences, and most of them had not said anything at that time. I also looked at a couple of the smaller channels and Twitter accounts of people who have talked about Anita a lot in the past. I don't respond to Anita as much anymore, but because Carolyn Pettit, who works for Anita, had suggested people watch the older videos, which I had reviewed, I decided for old time's sake I'd do one video which was more humorous than anything. Quite honestly, I spent more time referencing the damsel in distress videos than talking about those tweets. I published that video, then when I came home from work, I see that people are making their criticisms. I was like, oh great, here we go again. Several of her critics don't talk as much about her as they used to, but this one seemed to be the next bandwagon they jumped on. I ended up making my video unlisted, but someone linked it to a forum and it ended up getting more views than I wanted it to at that point, so whatever. So what is the main point of this video? Anita has been fading into irrelevance for the last year. She receives less video views on YouTube and receives less responses on Twitter than she had in the past. I think the best thing people with large audiences could do at this point is ignore her, or at the very least, provide a civil response rather than an angry rant or throw out insults. However, some of these guys don't see it that way, so I've decided I'll do a response video to them. The main people I pay attention to when it comes to Anita critics are the big names like Thunderfoot, The Amazing Atheist, Mr. Repsion, Alpha Omega Sin, and Review Tech USA, as well as a few smaller channels who talked about Anita a lot in the past, such as Mundane Matt and Jordan Owen 42. Mundane Matt was the first of these guys to make a video on it, followed by some other guys, so I'll start with him first.
Because Anita Sarkeesian said some dumb shit on Twitter, and I gotta call her out for it. Because yeah, that's kind of the game we play.
So Mundane Matt called her out. So why then would I take issue with Mundane Matt doing a response video to Anita? Let's start off with the harassment narrative.
What's wrong with you? Is it just the victim complex? You can't get over it? You have to keep doing it?
The victim complex. What would you say if I told you Mundane Matt has a history with Anita he doesn't talk about that much? Back in 2014, I'd only seen reviews of her work, but in 2015, I started taking issue with some of her other critics, so I started watching their older videos. Remember Anita's TEDx talk? What I'm about to do is cross-reference some of that with some of the things I found in Mundane Matt's older videos.
So with that in mind, I decided to launch a fundraising campaign on the crowdfunding website Kickstarter. The idea being that if you were interested in the project, you could donate, and if you weren't interested, you could choose not to donate. It's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
I personally think you're just a loudmouth woman who doesn't know when to shut the fuck up, but that's just me being misogynist.
Turns out that there are a bunch of male gamers out there who were, shall we say, not too excited about this project.
Put $150,000 fucking dollars in her fucking pocket!
By creating an environment that is too toxic and hostile to endure.
Seriously, you all should be fucking ashamed of yourself for getting so goddamn upset over this, or at least attacking her the way you did. Think, you fucking morons, think.
I found myself the target of a massive online hate campaign.
I need everyone who doesn't like her, or anyone who fucking rallied against her last time, to listen.
There was a campaign to report all of my social media accounts, including my Kickstarter, my YouTube, my Twitter.
You lashed out at her videos, you lashed out at her page.
And they would report them as fraud, as spam, even as terrorism, in an effort to get them suspended.
You tried getting her taken down for terrorism, which I thought was quite clever and funny.
It's an overt display of angry misogyny on a massive scale.
And actually make something worthwhile instead of just ranting like a bitch.
Bitches like fucking Anita Sarkeesian.
Everything about her pretty much makes you go, ooh, you bitch, right? Or cunt, or whatever they call her.
They also have a home base where they coordinate their raids and work together and communicate. And this usually takes place on largely unmoderated, largely anonymous message boards and forums.
I'm posting this on 4chan, on fucking Reddit, on any place that will listen, because here's how we have to handle this.
The immediate explicit goal is to stop the villain and save video games from me and my crazy feminist scheme. We have the players, we have the villain.
The evil, glassed she-beast that is Anita Sarkeesian.
While I don't agree with everything that Anita said in her TED Talk, let's just say when I started digging around on Mundane Matt, I wasn't too pleased with what I found. Let's go one step further. Take Anita out of the equation and just let Mundane Matt criticize himself.
You have to control your anger when you're dealing with this stuff.
Put $150,000 fucking dollars in her fucking pocket. Okay, you're not hard to get upset. I could go into Reddit Gaming or /V and post some stupid shit.
I'm posting this on 4chan, on fucking Reddit. This is where you guys have to control your urge to call her a bitch, call her a cunt.
Bitches like fucking Anita Sarkeesian.
Now, I have not. If you listen to anything I said or read anything I've written, I've never once called her a dirty name. I never once have.
Ooh, you bitch, right? Or cunt, or whatever they called her. And she showcased one of my tweets.
She took one of mine, and it was something that I said that even though I was joking, it was stupid of me to do.
Matt used to have this weird way of telling people how not to deal with Anita while simultaneously doing all the things he said you should not do. But after all these years, he still talks about her instead of moving on. Are you starting to get my point?
So you want to know how to fight Anita Sarkeesian, you have to do it the right way. You have to do it the way that I've been doing it.
The way you were doing it was all wrong. I mean, you had some good ideas, but you did it all wrong. If someone asked me to give them the single worst example of a Sarkeesian critic, I'd say look toward Mundane Matt and his older videos. Anita released her first video on March 7th, 2013. Matt had made 4 videos leading up to the release of Anita's. You already heard how much Matt was losing his shit over this. It's pretty obvious that Mundane Matt had one hell of a beef with Anita. So how did he respond when her video was finally published?
Hey everyone, Mundane Matt here. Okay, so I know for the last couple days I've been going completely apeshit on Twitter and Tumblr and YouTube talking about Anita Sarkeesian's tropes versus women in video games. So after a couple hours, I finally got to sit down and watch it. So I watched the whole 23-minute long video, and I went into it with an open mind.
An open mind. This guy who talked all that shit and rallied people against Anita, he had an open mind. So what did he think about the content?
There were a lot of interesting talking points in the video, basically telling us that Princess Peach and Princess Zelda are complete damsels in distress. And, to be fair, she's correct. He has rehashed several games. The only one that particularly bothered me was the Double Dragon one. You could tell she has a serious distaste for Double Dragon. I will say that her demeanor was not as know-it-all-y or smug as it has been in previous videos. She kept a very neutral demeanor, but that was about it. I didn't punch my monitor. I'm not yelling and screaming right now because I'm still digesting what I saw, but I wanted to give you guys my thoughts.
Mundane Matt was losing his shit over this project for over half a year, but didn't have much issue with the actual video. Now, I know some of you will come at me with all the criticisms of Anita, but we have to have context here. At that time, we did not know a lot of the things we know now. Matt did not have a lot of the knowledge he has now. The first thing Matt would probably come at me with is something like, he hates his older videos.
Hey everybody, my name is Mundane Matt, and I've got a little confession to make. I really hate listening to my older videos. Like, anything for the first year of my channel. I really just don't like it at all.
Apparently Matt was in a pretty bad place back then. He was venting frustration. It doesn't matter how much you don't like your older videos. People do not forget things like that. Anita is not just going to look at you one day and magically forget your history with her. You can say for the rest of your life they were your old videos and you are no longer that way, but it will never change what you did. Another thing Matt does that I dislike is his way of making himself sound more important than he really is.
Released March 7th, 2013. Has been seen a couple million times, has been shredded to hell by both myself, the Amazing Atheist, and other people.
It has not been shredded to hell by you, Matt. Thunderfoot tears her work to shreds, others tear her work to shreds, but you sit back and talk about the hard work everyone else does and lump yourself in with them because you talk a lot about her. You, more than just about anyone, want to see Anita defeated, yet you contribute very little in relation to other people. One of the only things you do is bring more attention to Anita than what needs brought to her. Now, I'm not going to say you never have a point, such as your point about Anita's criticism of Zelda. you're right about that. But for someone who talks as much about Anita as you have, you don't bring that much.
Very much putting on a charade and using every trick in the book in order to get around actual hard work when it's showing that she's really not even doing the work, and it's almost like she's just going to Wikipedia, corresponding with video footage that they technically stole from another channel.
You talk about her getting around actual hard work? You'd rather respond to dumb shit she said on Twitter than do actual in-depth reviews of her videos. I could also say that you're lazy.
Over the course of the last year, I've been very vocal, very outspoken, one of the key people fighting against Anita Sarkeesian.
One of the key people? You were one of the key people in making her famous. You were one of the key people helping to feed her harassment narrative. Now consider everything I've said about Mundane Matt for the last few minutes. He just wants a conversation.
Anita is a person who I very much would love to sit down and have a conversation with. I wish Anita would actually engage in a debate, engage in a discussion.
She is not going to have a conversation with you. It doesn't matter how bad you want it, it will not happen.
Anita's Calamity Ganon, who has been terrorizing the Hyrule, i.e. gaming, for 5 years. And the thing is, she's tricked everybody. Just like Ganon did.
In their minds, they concocted this grand fiction in which they're the heroic players of a massively multiplayer online game working together to take down an enemy. And apparently they cast me in the role of the villain.
Who was the real villain back then? You were a pretty nasty dude who justified everything you did as you were doing it.
But here we are, 5 years later, still talking about the nonsense that is Anita Sarkeesian.
Yeah, I wonder how that happened.
And that's where people like me, and Sargon, and Thunderfoot, and Jordan Owen 42, and even Davis Arini come into play. People who monitor the lies she spews and calls her out with the correct information.
Sargon's first 2 videos were about Anita and published back in June 2013. They were response videos to her older videos, but not tropes versus women in video games. Sargon does not review her work like Thunderfoot does. Thunderfoot prides himself in what he does.
Sorry, boys, but the Ivory Tower's got a new breed of guard. One who's not going to let this shit slide. A scholar of the pattern finder variety. You know, a scientist.
Yet for some reason that defies logic, Thunderfoot gave an interview for the Sarkeesian Effect.
So anyway, I gave Jordan Owen an interview a ways back when I knew almost nothing about the project.
I took one peek at Jordan's channel and had very little confidence in what I saw. A 4-hour unscripted video with poor lighting? Jordan's content is better today, but back then it didn't instill that much confidence. Thunderfoot linked to one of Davis Arini's videos on Twitter before the interview, but didn't bother to check out his channel, even though Davis said in that video he was part of the Sarkeesian Effect.
Then, of course, came the train wreck of the Sarkeesian Effect. Now, sure, I blame myself that I didn't bother to find out who the hell Davis Arini was first.
Davis speaking. Support us on the Sarkeesian Effect, but actually doing a documentary. With making the documentary, however, support our documentary.
There was a link to the Patreon account in that video at the time Thunderfoot linked it. This is someone who brags about his pattern finding skills that didn't spend any time looking into it. He also said something else that bothered me.
In fact, a quick search for images of you online shows that the internet has been far kinder to you than it has been to me.
A quick search would reveal that, but if you actually did your research, you'd see there is more truth to Anita's story than you elude. Now, I'm not going to argue on who was treated worse, as I know people have tried to get Thunderfoot fired from his job, but
But the crazy thing is, Anita, I can find no evidence for this grand conspiracy anywhere outside of your head. At least beyond your claims that it exists.
I'm posting this on 4chan, on fucking Reddit, on any place that will listen, because here's how we have to handle this. I need everyone who doesn't like her, or anyone who fucking rallied against her last time, to listen.
You lashed out at her videos, you lashed out at her page, you tried getting her in, taken down for terrorism, which I thought was quite clever and funny. Seriously, you all should be fucking ashamed of yourself for getting so goddamn upset over this, or at least attacking her the way you did. Think, you fucking morons, think.
I found plenty of evidence. But I already know that Thunderfoot has a tendency to be lazy about researching this side of the discussion.
Studied extensively.
As far as Jordan Owen and Davis Arini, I don't think I need to say anything about them, as more than enough has already been said. Review Tech USA also made a video response to Feminist Frequency's criticism of Zelda. Now let's be fair to Rich and say he did have valid criticism, much like Mundane Matt.
So, congratulations, Anita. You found a way to keep yourself relevant by getting fat talking heads like me complaining about you. So, there you go. You just want to call out a game that's insanely popular just so you get your name on the map? Because congratulations, Anita. You got me talking about you, so it keeps you remaining relevant.
You just said talking about her keeps her relevant. You didn't have to respond to her. You chose to. Matt already addressed the problems with Zelda, as you pointed out.
Now, I haven't played enough of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild to speak on its plot, but go watch Mundane Matt's video on this same topic about Anita Sarkeesian.
But let's say that Anita should be criticized, and Rich is justified in responding to Anita. This is one issue I will take with him.
But like I said on Twitter, even if I didn't talk about Anita, she has such devout followers that shit that she complains about spreads like wildfire. Anyway, that's why I decided to talk about this.
Yeah, shit she does say spreads like wildfire, just like shit you say spreads like wildfire. Remember that petition you promoted a couple years ago?
Apparently, Anita Sarkeesian was hired to help with Mirror's Edge 2 game development. Well, there is a petition on change.org to help get her ass off of developing this game.
When I first heard about that petition, the first thing I did was look for anything official, which I did not find. When you heard about it, the mainstream websites weren't talking about it.
And when I heard about this, I looked all over the internet, and mostly what I saw was either articles by little websites or mostly forum posts, because I have a feeling that the mainstream websites aren't going to talk about this. But here's what I just found out.
You didn't verify, you just ran with it.
Okay, there's a petition, and please, by all means, if you actually feel even somewhat kind of the same as me, you should go and fill out this petition.
Oh, look at that. There's Alpha Omega Sin promoting the same petition.
If you watched Rich from Review Tech USA, he made a video about this.
See how he referenced Review Tech USA? That makes me wonder if he just watched Rich's video and ran with it. I found almost a dozen other videos across YouTube around that time frame that were released after Rich did his video, and some of them referenced Review Tech USA and Alpha Omega Sin.
The petition said, Anita Sarkeesian.
Anita Sarkeesian. So make sure you guys go in the description and sign the petition that's on change.org.
Click a petition to stop this lady from being in a development team for Mirror's Edge 2.
Rich of Review Tech USA, they want to have Anita Sarkeesian be a consultant for the next Mirror's Edge to go to the petition
of Anita Sarkeesian. I saw this video by Alpha Omega Sin. He released a video with a link to a petition.
Anita Sarkeesian. So there's a change.org petition.
Video from Rich from Review Tech USA, Alpha Omega Sin's video. I'll also have a link to the petition.
Anita, Alpha Omega Sin, signed this petition to get her out of it.
Anita Sarkeesian takes part in the development of Mirror's Edge 2. Luckily, some people have started a petition.
So EA has hired Anita Sarkeesian, Mirror's Edge 2.
And EA decided to get Anita Sarkeesian and sign this petition.
Just as anything Anita says spreads like wildfire, the same thing goes for her critics. That sort of stuff is exactly what Anita uses to say people make things up about her. Rich said his video was quite savage. I don't find responding to a handful of tweets as being quite savage, but maybe that's just me.
And you were one of the key people that brought about this overly offended culture. And it's because of people like you and the bullshit that you pull that we're going to offend ourselves into a censorship oblivion that we may never get out of.
You want to talk about the key people being responsible for Anita?
Over the course of the last year, I've been very vocal, very outspoken, one of the key people fighting against Anita Sarkeesian.
Do you think that maybe Mundane Matt was one of the key reasons you have an Anita Sarkeesian to criticize? Or does he get a free pass because he's your buddy?
But go watch Mundane Matt's video on this same topic about Anita Sarkeesian.
You claim it's because of Anita's feminist movement that we are in this mess, but I think both sides can be blamed for this mess. Now on to Mr. Repzion.
At this point, I'm thoroughly convinced that this woman will say anything, no matter the lie, no matter the misrepresentation, to stay relevant in 2017.
Despite the fact her video views and Twitter activity receive a fraction of the attention it used to, you decide to respond.
For a while now, I haven't talked about her. She's been very good at keeping her mouth shut for the most part. The past, 6, 7, 9 months in total.
And you guys were pretty good about keeping your mouth shut till just recently. Now again, let's be fair and say Mr. Repzion has some valid criticism, and he is justified in responding. He pointed out some things other people had said, which are valid criticisms, but then he goes and says this throughout the video.
She is an insufferable cunt. This woman is an insufferable cunt. You don't need to keep saying she's an insufferable cunt, and you just keep saying insufferable cunt, insufferable cunt. You are an insufferable cunt. That's exactly what Miss Cuntian, and that is why you're an insufferable cunt.
I seem to recall a certain key Sarkeesian critic saying something about this.
This is where you guys have to control your urge to call her a bitch, call her a cunt.
You are an insufferable cunt.
According to Mr. Repsion, I have never said anything rude, degrading, name-calling, or anything to FemFreak, but I've been blocked by her on Twitter. One thing I do know about Anita is she searches the internet for what you guys say. You don't have to send it directly to her for her to see it. This popular atheist YouTuber can't seem to figure out why in the world I'd block him. And this is the guy who'd like to meet Anita at VidCon.
And that is, of course, Anita Sarkeesian, which is funny because I'm going to be at VidCon. She's going to be at VidCon, so that will be fun. If I see her, I'll definitely go up and shake her hand. Some of these people are very civil, calm people. I myself consider myself very calm in my videos. She is an insufferable cunt. But so far, I don't really consider my channel to be an angry channel. Anita Sarkeesian, and I don't say this often, bitch, that you really are.
Come to think of it, the Amazing Atheist would also like to meet Anita, or at least have a 1-hour recorded debate with her.
And you fail, Anita! You fucking fail! Bitch.
He just wants a conversation.
No, you know what's sexist? You know what's a tiring plot device? You, Anita.
I think you and Anita's other critics are a tired plot device at this point. Or maybe I could just say you're a trope. You guys have been at this for years, and you still don't get it. I'm not going to tell you what it takes. I'll just let Mundane Matt tell you what it takes.
You can find ways to put cracks in that argument and to find ways to do it in a way that's not considered misogynistic or full of misandry or anything like that. If you come across as a troll, you're immediately going to get her to shut down. Look at her video, break it down point for point. It has to be fucking worthwhile and make sure that nobody can turn it against. It is up to you to engage her fucking followers with the same level of respect that you have to show her. Because if you take away that anger, if you take away that ability for them to say that you're a misogynist, or you're full of misandry, or you're just a bigot, or you're discriminatory, you remove all elements of that, then you are actually able to fucking fight this head on.
What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that, my friends, is the crux of the anti-Anita Sarkeesian movement on YouTube, with a few exceptions. So if you are one of the ones out there that makes constant videos about her and talks about her all the time and is wondering why people aren't listening to you when you have all these valid complaints and criticisms about her, but still find the time to call her an evil cunt, there's your answer. You might have said this, which was valid, but you called her an old bitch here, and so obviously, you know, your point can't be looked at because people shut down when you start using that kind of language.
How many of you feel you have shut down any possibility of a conversation with Anita?
Ooh, you bitch.
Anita.
Fuck this, fuck her.
Take you and your side boob and get the fuck out of my video games.
Anita Sarkeesian, and I don't say this often, bitch, that you really are.
And you fail, Anita! You fucking fail!
And just because I gave an interview to them, that doesn't mean that I'm responsible for all of this by guilt by association. Except when the fail's this hard, yes. Yes, it does.